So today we are going to show you how I make one of my large salmon platters. First, you roll out a slab, and I use a squeegee to get the texture from the canvas off so it's nice and smooth. Then I'm going to use my name stamp and the year stamp for Blue Spruce Pottery. Then we just take a piece of a sheet or fabric, put that on there and flip it over and smooth this side. Now I've made a stencil already, so we put the stencil on. Line it up so you're not losing any part of the fish. Take a pin tool, but I don't use the sharp end, I use the dull end, and I'm just going to trace my stencil to leave an impression on the clay of where all the lines of the fish are going to be. And when you're making a fish, make it fatter than you think, because once you bend up the edges, it'll be thinner. Now we're going to use the sharp end of the pin tool to cut it out. I'm cutting off the bigger pieces to use for other things. I can make coasters or other items out of the slabs. So I'm going to pull those out and scrap the little pieces. Now we're going to smooth the edge of the fish using just some water and your fingers so that you smooth all the little rough spots left by the pin tool. So I just have a little dowel that I like to use to make the impressions with, and I use WD-40 to keep it from sticking to the clay. I have tried lots of other things, but WD-40 works the best. Water gets sticky after a while. This just keeps it smooth. So now I just rub that along the edge at an angle to make the fins have texture. And when you're rolling the fins, you don't want to go too close to the edge because that's where you're going to get cracking. So just stop a little bit before you get to the edge. This one I'm going to follow on the outside to make an indent where the fin would be on top of the fish. And the same with this one. So I'm going around the fin to give it a little 3-dimension. And smooth out those little edges. Now I'm going to do the gills. Some extra little lines. Then the mouth. And again, I'm just following all the lines that were on the stencil to begin with. Take a little water, smooth out any sharp spots. This is how I make the eye. It's the back of 2 pens. I just like those shapes, so I keep those pens around so I can make the eye the way I like it. I'm just going to use a rubber tipped tool to make a little dot in the middle. Now I have a shell. This helps the fins on the front of the fish have a more realistic look. We start at the very, very top of the shell, and then I just press it down, not all the way, just about halfway, and then I'm going to use the dowel to finish out the fins. I just kind of follow the same lines as the shell. Now we're going to use that rubber tip tool again. I'm going to follow the line that separates the belly of the fish from the top of the fish. Now I'm going to add the teeth because salmon have teeth. If you're doing a fish that doesn't have teeth, then you don't put them in. Now I'm just going to use my fingers, make little impressions on the belly of the fish. Kind of just fill it all in. You want it to look random, so don't work too hard. The next tool is made by just cutting 3 small dowels at an angle and taping them together with painter's tape. And this is going to help make the scales. Put a little WD-40 on it. If it gets sticky, you don't need very much, just a little bit. And then we're gonna make all the scales. I'm going to take that rubber tip tool again, and I make some little dots, just some more texture to add to the fish. I think it gives it a little bit more of a watery appearance. And then I do the fins as well. And I'm just going to take some water and very lightly go over the fish to make sure that it's all kind of smooth and there aren't going to be any rough spots or sharp spots once it dries. Alright, so now this is the mold. I just use kiln furniture, so this is a kiln stilt. You probably have plenty of them around your studio. Even if you have a small studio, you need to have some. And I just messed around with these until I got them kind of where I wanted them, so it might take a while to figure that part out. We use the shorter ones to hold up the fins because I don't want them just flopping down and tearing off while it's drying. And then you have to pick up the whole piece and lay it on top of the mold. You're gonna have to like slide some stuff around and move stuff around so that it will fit on there in the right spot. And then you just press it gently into the mold, and you can kind of push the kiln stilts around if they're not quite in the right spot, or you want it a little deeper or a little shallower of a platter. It will relax somewhat when it's fired, so you kind of want it a little deeper than you want it when it's finished. And I just smooth out a little bit of the fins, and then we let that guy dry.